So now they have finished the blueprint, and while they were doing that, I just put some stairs up so that I can get in the side and some supports on each edge just to make it look like it's not floating. And now we're going to finish the build. So we're going to start with a farm area. We just want enough for one field. It doesn't even have to be a full field, but I do want a few different crops. I'll talk in a second about what crops I think are the best, but mainly wheat is something you want to focus on. So I think it is best when we're doing this to actually build what we want to build away from where we want to build it, just because I don't want to have to knock out too much terrain or more terrain than I need to. And I also want to be able to just make sure that all the irrigation is going to work before I make a space. So I'm just going to move over to a clear space and we're going to build a field. So I'm just going to put the scarecrow down first so I know I'm not doing more than a full field's worth. But so that we don't have to worry about the farmers wasting time watering the crops, what we're going to do once we've made our square is make sure we can fill it with water. So we're going to do it 2 high, and I'm going to do 4 lots of 9 crops, 1 on each corner, and that's going to be nice and even though it doesn't matter, I want it to still look neat. And that's going to give us 4 defined sections if we want different crops. So like I said, wheat's a big one, so I'm probably going to have half wheat and half cabbages. We don't need fancy food, we just need food that they can cook quickly. Now the water won't transfer over in the blueprint. I'm just doing this to show you what is required. We need 2 blocks full of water so that the water doesn't disappear under the blocks. If you only do 1 block high, there'll be no room for the water to stay underneath. If you already have some tilled earth, which you can just grab with your trowel from another farm, you can place it straight down. I actually recommend not putting any of the earth in the blueprint. I do that in the video, but it made it really hard to pour the water correctly. So I recommend just doing the brick and the wooden grate and the scarecrow, and then just take out all the earth and put that in once they've done the rest of the blueprint. Just because, yeah, I found it didn't fill correctly after I'd done this. So once you've got everything in and you're happy with it, like I said, you should take the earth out. But just go ahead and, like we've done for the other thing, magic pencil it up. We can just do it on the corners because we know there's no lip. And once it is done, we want to kind of clear out a bit of the space. You don't have to do it beforehand, but they won't clear out all of the clodstone or chert or whatever it is while they're building the blueprint. So I tend to do it out there as well, because that way, once I have the blueprint, I can actually dig out the perfect amount of space. And you don't need to put down a wood or stone tile, but obviously just make sure that there's no spoiled soil, just because that will make your crops grow slower if it's dirty water. So now that we've put it down, we can just pop the required stuff in one of the chests we've got from when they were building the original hut, and we can see now if there's any extra blocks we need to get rid of. And while they are doing that, what we can do is we can start on their housing. So I recommend, on top of your slimes, having probably about 4 villagers. I think the best is just to have Lillian and Saffron, or actually probably 6 villagers. So Lillian and Saffron, 2 or 3 farmers. I've just got Perry, Bonanzo and Rosie, and 1 elder. I really recommend. You'll need it for your tablet targets anyway, but elders fish. So later we're going to add a water storage, and they will fish out of that. So as long as you have cooked all of the fish from the different water sources, they will then go and cook them for you. So you can see while we're doing this, they've finished the farming blueprint, which is really handy. So we can just go now and we can wait until they've obviously tilled it, and then we can put in different crops. Like I had mentioned, as you can see, the water hadn't actually quite filled up correctly. So I think leave the earth out. But once you've filled it all up, put your tilled earth in, or normal earth if you don't have tilled earth available. And I recommend wheat, like I said, is the most important thing because it makes bread, which is quick and easy, and it also makes fertilizer. It's half of fertilizer. So the other thing we're going to want after we've done our bedroom is some toilets, so they don't complain and so we can get night soil. You can pick whatever you want. I'm currently doing a big build of lavender town, so I did go back and put a lot of cabbages in because I wanted an excess of purple dye because I'm going to need a lot soon. I reckon the kitchen is going to go here. We only really want a simple kitchen. We don't need a dining room because we want our cooking villagers just to focus on cooking. Once they have food, toilet, and a bed, they're not even really needing beds, but they shouldn't complain after that. And we can see now, quick growing crops, the other reason they're handy is because they're going to grow pretty much every day. And we can see here, I didn't try to go too fancy, I just done a little bit of detailing, but I made an 8-bed dorm and I assigned everyone to it so that if we start building other stuff around here, we know that they'll still generally hang around here, like hang around the kitchen area. So we'll make a toilet in this area. I'm going to make a public toilet which has 3 toilets, that way they're not going to line up. Again, we don't want them really wasting too much time. We just want them cooking and farming. So I'm going to do a little bit of detailing here again, not necessary, but just to make it look a little bit nicer. And public toilet, we need a few things like the dividers, so we'll pop them in. You want the toilets themselves to be accessible from the doorways, especially in a small room where you're just collecting something. It doesn't need to be too fancy, you just need to make sure that you can easily access it without having to adjust your camera. So once we've done any decorating that we want to do on the farm, the toilets and the bedroom, we'll be almost ready to go. The one other thing that's really important is someone to make us food so that we don't need to worry and so that we have a steady resource coming in. So I'm going to build a simple kitchen up the front. I won't show that part of the build. Again, it's up to you how much you make it fancy, but a simple kitchen is all you need, which is 3 bonfires and a chest, but you can have more than 3 bonfires and they will use that, so I'm going to try and do about 5 or 6. We're going to use this area that I'm in right now as well to do some water storage in the last video.